Hey, it's Mike Lincolnoker, and welcome to the Coach and Mike Friends podcast. The podcast is a place full of real conversations with real people and real experiences. As I sit down with others, there's going to be no script, no filter. Whether we're talking about life, sports, win, losses, or lessons learned, there won't be perfect answers, just honest conversations and a few laughs along the way. So sit back, get ready to hear a story or two, settle in, and let's get into it. This is this week's episode of the Coach Mike and Friends podcast. And what's up to the Coach Mike and Friends podcast? I'm Mike Lincolnoker, and the guest we have today is the one and only Sid Crist. Buddy, welcome to the show. Welcome to the shiner that we see here today. It's as they call for the, you're in college basketball. This is truly the one shining moment, I guess, this morning that we're going with.
Appreciate you having me, brother. I got nice elbow right to the eye. You guys can see it right there on Monday in a ball screen drill. So here I am, still standing. Just another bruise.
You passed concussion protocol. I mean, and everything.
I guess.
You don't have to, but like we were talking off air, you might need to get that Rip Hamilton mask. You might need to get that.
Yeah, I need an extra layer of protection at this point for sure.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to do any. You have to, but see, to do the drill too, you got to do the Rip Hamp, like running around.
That's right.
to do that.
That's right.
So again, thanks for coming on, brother. I appreciate it. I told you your free time's the summertime, so I know this will work out well. And I thought about a month ago, I thought it'd be cool to get some random people that people wouldn't think would be on. And not that you're not random, but it's a good start to start this little summer season I'm trying to do.
Sure.
With people where they got more free time right now than ever. I'm gonna start off with quick. Let's just go over the journey, dude. Graduated from Midland High School, and then you went on to Glenville State. And correct me if I'm wrong, you just played your freshman year, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So I grew up in Asst, played at Midland High School, basketball and golf and baseball, and graduated and played one season of college basketball at Glenville. Joe Mazzulla was an assistant there at the time, and he and I got to be very close during that year. And so he left after my freshman year to go to Fairmont State as an assistant for Jared Calhoun. And so coaching was my passion, what I wanted to do, and coaching is the reason why I started to play college basketball. I wasn't a great player, and I know I wasn't a great player, and knew then that I wasn't a great player, but I wanted to be a college basketball coach, and so I got an opportunity and took it, and I guess it's now been, 14 years into this thing? Here I am.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. So you went with him from Glenville to Fairmont, right?
That's right. So yeah. I spent 3 years at Fairmont State. Jared Calhoun was the head coach. Paul Molinari was the associate head coach, my guy, and then Joe Mazzulla was an assistant, and then 2 graduate assistants while I was there as well. Manny Robinson, who's with Jared and Paul at Cincinnati, and then George Wilmore, who ended up being the head coach at West Virginia Tech, that's now an NIL agent in Charlotte. We had 3 great years there. It was so much fun. It was great for my career. We were 20 wins all 3 years I was there, won 25-5. I think my last year made the national tournament 2 times. And so, I thought coaching was easy. You come right into it.
And that kind of crazy, you had that good run. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be easy. And then I left there after in the spring of 2016 and took an assistant job at the University of Charleston working for Dwayne Osborne. That year, Fairmont, Jared, and Joe, well, Joe was gone. He was in the G League at that point. We left at the same time. But Fairmont at that point got beat in the national championship in the 16-17 season, so I spent 1 year at the University of Charleston. Did 1 year at West Virginia Wesleyan College, also in the same Mountain East League, and then spent 7 years at the University of Pikeville. That time at Pikeville was probably, at the stage of my career that I'm in now, it was certainly, those 7 years were certainly.
I'll step in and say, you grew, dude. Like you grew as a person there.
It was 7 years there, and I'd been in it 5 years previous to that. So more than half of my career in one spot. I think the thing that I learned there probably was that being myself was perfect and enough and good enough. And so, I
Awesome.
spent the first 3 years trying to be Joe Mazzulla and Jared Calhoun, and then I spent the next 2 years trying to be Dwayne Osborne and Brett Rector and those guys I worked with at Charleston. And it took a couple years at Pikeville of being around those guys and see how those guys approach their everyday, just to realize that for me it was just more about being me. And once I settled into being me in this business, it greatly changed. I did 2 years as a GA there. I spent 3 years as an assistant there. I'm sorry, 4 years as an assistant there, and then spent my last season there as the associate head coach. We were really, really good. 5 out of 7 national tournaments and made a Final Four, and an Elite Eight. Won a game in Louisiana in the national tournament. Won a game in at Grace in the national tournament my last year there. Won the regular season league title my last year there. So 7 years in one spot. It's a great place. I miss Pikeville, man. Like, the people there are fantastic, and the town is great. It's people don't.
It is pretty cool where people, you were there for those 7 years. They still comment on your Facebook and everything, dude, and still check in on you, and that's just how it is. And you're right. It's cool that you had that realization that you didn't have to be somebody else. It's cool that you had the opportunity to learn that, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people, it takes them to, we're 40, 50 years old, and they still feel, hey, I can just still be myself, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to be somebody else.
I think it helped me being in, Central Appalachia. Not that Washington, Wesley, and Charleston, those places aren't, but in Central Appalachia, in a place where when I got there, I didn't know people. I'd never met anybody from Pikeville in my life until I got there, and so, I was around people who were like the people that I grew up with, and that were, like my friends from home, and the people that worked there were just like me, and so that was great for my career. Just learning that all you gotta do is just be you, and that's enough.
I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curveball at that. Do you think it'd have been different if you went somewhere else besides Central Appalachia? Like, do you think it'd have been a different? Like, do you think you'd have found yourself differently, possibly, or?
I think there are parts of who you are as a person that, regardless of where you are or what you're doing, they're always going to be. You know me, I'm an outgoing dude, and
Yeah,
I'm not afraid to talk to people, whatever. So that would never change, obviously,
that's a
regardless
fact,
of
folks.
where I
I've
was
seen
at.
it
But
live.
I think it's hard to be yourself if you don't know who you are, and so
Yeah,
being in Pikeville for that time helped me figure out who I was. It was good for me and my career.
yeah. So now you're at the wonderful division. I mean, you went. All right, so Division Two, and then Pikeville. They're
Yeah.
in AIA, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So went from that, and now you're at Division One.
Mhm.
What do you think, like, in the landscape of things through the journey, like, is the difference between, basketball wise, the difference, I guess,
Well,
for
the
say?
landscape has changed throughout my career. So,
Yeah.
I
And I was
think,
going to bring it up, so
yeah,
go ahead.
I
I had
think,
that down.
I think 15 years ago, if you would have went D2 and AI D1, you would have seen a mass difference in the way that each level works and runs, and the talent levels and all those different things. I think all that you would have seen that. I think you still see that, but I think as I came through those places, those landscapes were currently changing, and so it gives you a little bit of a different perspective. Like, when I first got to Pikeville, the caliber of player that we could get in that was a transfer was different. There were multiple high major players in our league. There were multiple high major players that we would play against. And when I say high major players, I'm talking about guys that had been at Vanderbilt, Kansas State, Virginia Tech, wherever, Duke, you name it. Somebody from somewhere was playing at the NAI level because of the transfer rules. And so after my second year as a GA there, going into my time as a full-time assistant, that's when COVID happened, and the portal became a thing, and the transfer rules changed. And so my last 5 years at Pikeville and NAI were drastically different than the first 2 years. Those first 5 years there, those last 5 years there, you couldn't get the high major transfer because those guys just went to another Division One, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. So that was that, and again, I watched that change. There are Division One players at every level. We've got, I think, 3 Division Two transfers on our team this year. I expect all those guys to have, an impact on our team. And so now it's just the whole thing's different. Like it literally works just like the major leagues in baseball. I mean, NAIA,
That's
D2,
kind of how.
D3, JUCO, low major basketball. Those are the feeders for your mid majors and your high majors, and the guys that don't work out at the mid majors and high majors will go down to those lower levels, and when they kill, they'll get to go back up. So
That's kind
that's
of
kind of
how
what
I
it's.
was. That's funny how you brought it. That's how I kind of was going to say. Like when I have it down here in my notes, it really does kind of just remind me of baseball. Like it's not that it's a bad thing either. Like there's probably some Triple A's that could beat a an MLB team any day, or even maybe some. I wouldn't go as far as down the double, but I mean, but it's proof. Like especially for you and your team, you probably could have beat some. And I've told you before, I've kept up with you all season, and you're really close to some teams that made it decently into the
Yeah, I
tournament.
mean, we were up 5 with a minute and 20 seconds to go at Arkansas.
That's okay. I was about to say either Arkansas, Alabama. It was like that game was like on a Sunday, and I was watching it on my phone.
And we had
Yeah.
I mean, I think we led at Nebraska for like 28 minutes of the
Yep.
game. We led at George Mason for 29 or 30 minutes of the game. High Point, we beat High Point at our place. And they're a conference
Yep.
opponent. They end up winning a game in the NCAA tournament and beating Wisconsin. And so I
Because in
think,
reality, if you would have won, that would have been you in that position,
sure, yeah,
right?
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
we got beat in the conference championship game by High Point. We would have been right there. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's just cool that you've had that journey. It's cool that you've professionally and yourself you figured things out, and you at the end of the day you continue to be you. And a lot of people, it's hard for people to do that. And we might not have the right psychological answer or the right sit down therapy answer for that. But at the end of the day, that's just what we all have to be. We'll move on to the next part. So we've kind of already talked about it. So this might be short and sweet to the point. Lately, I've been asking people like, what do you think their why was 5 years ago? What your why might have been 5 years ago, and then and it could be the same, but you think if it's changed, if it's improved, what have you done? So what do you think your why was like 5 years ago compared to what you think it might be now?
Yeah, I used to work. I worked at the University of Charleston for a guy named Dwayne Osborne. He's now the associate coach at Youngstown State, and one of my best friends in the world. He's a mentor to me professionally. Probably doesn't even realize that he is, but he is. And he and I would argue all the time back in the day, and he would always tell me, like, what's important to you when you're 22 is different than when you're 25 and 30 and 35 and 45 and 50 and 70. Those things change in what's important to you. And
Mm-hmm.
I first started doing this. I did it because it was cool. I thought it was a cool way to make a living. That was why I did it. It was like I get to go coach basketball every day, and that's still
Yeah.
part of it. Like when you get to come to work every day, and I don't have to be here necessarily at a set time. I don't have to leave at necessarily a set time. I get to travel all over the country and coach against the best basketball coaches in the world. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, buddy.
So it's a cool way to make a living. So that was originally when I first started it. And the other thing is like, you talk about why when I first got into the business, like. My dad was a high school coach. Obviously, Dad, like 30
Yep.
years high school basketball. So, from the time that I was born, I was in the gym. I was
Yeah,
at
buddy.
practice. He used to wake me up in the mornings for school when I got into kindergarten and first grade by telling me, get up, it's time to go to practice. I wouldn't get out of bed. And when he would tell me that, I'd hop up and they'd get me ready for school. And I'd be sad because I'd have to get on the school bus, but I didn't get out of bed. So that was the only way they could get me up. So, like, that was why when I first started. And now when I think about why, there's impact, man. And that, the ability to impact has changed because at this level, so like again, I'm learning this as I go. Like at Pikeville, we didn't battle the portal. We were regionally secluded, so like we tried to dominate recruiting in our region. We drew a 3-hour radius around Pikeville and said, hey, if there's a high school basketball player in this region, we're gonna go get them, and we did it. Like Kean Works from Pikeville, Kentucky, Keenan Cutlip from Johnson City, Bradley Bunch from Big Stone Gap, Virginia, was a 2-time Player of the Year in the league in the AAC. Zon Blevins from Chapmanville, Devin Collins from Chapmanville, Jeremy Dillon from Mingo Central. Like any dude that was in that little region, I'm leaving guys out, but any guy that was in that region, we went and pounded that area, and we got those guys, and we were able to keep them. And so, I talked to 2 of those guys yesterday, Kean and Keenan Cutlip, Keenan Works and Keenan Cutlip, just checking in, asking them how they were doing, whatever. And those guys were there with me for 3 years and then stayed at Pikeville all 4 years, which is an uncommon thing now. And so
Yeah.
we were talking about the impact that, I had on those guys, and that Coach Compton had on those guys, and Coach Wells, and all the people that were in Pikeville. Here, you get these guys for 2 months in the summer, then you get them August to March, and then if they perform really well, they're in the portal. And so you get a very short amount of time. And so I think, it's changed a little bit from, we used to try to like take guys and make them prepare them for life and whatever. And what you have to do now is you have to prepare them for the next year. So you got to try to get them as skilled as they can be in basketball and in life in a very short period of time. So when they transfer, they have an opportunity to continue their growth.
And even with that, I know we're talking about why, but I'm gonna pull out like a coach's perspective of this part of what you just said. Is it's kind of like you're a high school coach to a certain degree, because what you're trying to do is get them better for that next level, or even like if you're like a little league coach,
Sure,
you want them to be better.
It's all relative. I think that
Yeah,
when you ask the question, why do you do it, or what is the why in coaching or whatever else, it's impact. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to do it any longer, but like just for me, being able to come home in the summer and do my basketball camp like that impacts the area I grew up in and the kids that
yep.
were just like me one day. Like that's a cool thing for me to do. We're getting ready to do a basketball camp here next week. We got 75 kids coming to it. We got another one in July. So like the impact that you're able to have because of such a trivial thing, it being basketball, people love it. It's something that people are passionate about. So when you are working in an industry that people are passionate about, you're able to have real impact. And I think that's the real why. I did this for a long time, not making very much money. And you're away from your family. Like these people, the kids and the guys on our staff here, like that's the family that you have. You're with these guys 6 days a week from August until March, and you travel the country with them, and you eat meals with them, and you're together all the time, and you're away from your people.
It's a big kumbaya.
That's right. So it's like, it's the why is because there's connection and there's impact that can be made.
Yeah, and I want to tell people to give a quick shout out with that. Not a lot of people do camps right anymore around our area. They really don't, and it's disappointing. I've said this on one of my other podcasts. If I get the right people to do what needs to be done, I'm not going to do it myself because I have no ties. But to where to get the right people to do one, it needs to happen. Like and it's back in the day when we were young. They had camps up for football, like locally, and then shout out to Bob Bowen and Coach Barksdale when they were at Mountain State. They had camps there for basketball, and then your dad. And that's a lot of reason why you continue yours too, because your dad continued on with John and everything with that. So, I mean, I wish more around our area would do something camp wise, and it sucks.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. You got to have people that want to do it. I think that just my career in college basketball and whatever else, whenever I would do one, it would have a little bit of a draw, and so we would be able to get some kids out to do it. And I think that like the people at least in Fayette County, for years when I was doing the camps, when I first started them, I was doing them at Oak Hill and the Midland Trail.
Yeah.
And so I think the people that are involved on the north and south sides of the county currently are in it for the right reasons, and they want to see experience. Like that's the thing that people miss. And I'm sure the majority of the people that will listen to this are going to be people from Fayette County where I grew up. And so like people there especially need to understand that Little League, middle school, and high school sports, that is about experience. That is not about playing college basketball. It's not. Because a very small percentage of people get to do it. And so if you're not trying to generate a positive experience for your kids, remember kids that are playing this game, right? Like, why are you actually doing it? Like, the ones who end up playing in college, they do that because of the work that they do on their own. There's no high school program that you're just going to go to, and because you go there, you're going to play in college. And if that's the reason why you're playing, you should go do something else. Like you should, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have a goal to work for. Sure, you should do that. But I believe that the majority of people in Southern West Virginia, especially, they view college athletics. High school athletics as a bridge to college. And it is a bridge to that, but like that's not just the only thing that's about, and people make it just about that, and that's that's an unhealthy for kids.
Yeah, it is, and and it's an expectation that they have that they don't need to have, and I had a young man that I coached when I coached the year at Riverside, And, I was telling him, like, hey, like, you're good. Like, my personal opinion, I think you're great. But if you want to get playing time, enjoy your college experience, you don't need to be going Division One. You need to go Division 2, get yourself a scholarship that's going to be worth your money, don't have to pay for bills, and play there. It's not a big deal. And he didn't go that route, and he was in the transfer portal like 3 or 4 times to find his place. And I don't know where he is now, but it's just stuff like that. And you're right. It is the experience. Like, I'm not, I and I don't think some people would ever understand this. Like, my job as a coach when I was coaching was I'm gonna teach them X's and O's, but at the end of the day, I'm teaching them about life. I'm teaching them about at the end of the day what they're going to be. And I think what's cool is just recently, like, I've had the kids that I really started coaching when I was into it, when I got out of high school and started coaching. They're now older, and they come up to me, give me a hug, ask me how I'm doing and stuff. And that's the whole purpose of both your why and my why. With all that, let's move for that. Thanks for saying all that, dude. I mean, that's good stuff. And it again, you'll notice if you've watched the podcast before, I always like to fall back to everything we've been talking about, and that's you. Like what you just said, your whys is just all what you are. So the third thing I thought of about talking about is, you and I were very similar on this subject of a lot of our life, and we've already talked a little bit about it. Friendships, relationships, and connections. That's put us through our life pretty well. And we thrive on it. We love the all those three things. How and how would you say, and I don't even know how to really word it, but let's just go on a daily aspect. How does that impact you daily? Those three things.
Yeah, I think that it's got a huge impact on me. You're going to be exactly who you are around and who you surround yourself with, and so you pick your friends, and you sometimes pick your relationships. Some of those things are picked for you, and you pick your connections in a sense too. And so you're going to think very similar to the people that you're around. You're going to probably pick up the same interests of those that you're around, and you're probably going to be involved in the same sort of things of those people that you're around. And so when you're around like-minded people, I think that when you spend time with people who are similar in the way that you just view whatever it is. So for me in my industry, in coaching, like, I got lucky when I got hired here, and this is the first time in my career that I've ever worked with and for people that I didn't know. And so I was super nervous when I first got hired here, because what if these guys don't approach it the same way that I do?
Yeah.
What if these guys don't have the same values and the same core principles? But like what I learned through the hiring process and then getting here and spending a year here is that, like, the reason why I ended up here is because those guys think like I do. We have aligned goals for each of our guys individually and why we do this, and so it makes the entire experience better. You don't feel like you're fighting people to get things done, right? Like you're all moving towards the same goal in the same direction.
You
right?
all have a bunch of puzzle pieces and you're putting it together.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, without that's from a professional standpoint. On a personal standpoint, for me, now I don't know about other people. Other people may have a different opinion on this, but like for me, like, I would not be in this spot if it wasn't for Joe Mazzulla and Jared Calhoun and Dwayne Osborne. Like, I can tell you that right now. Like, my name being attached to Jared Calhoun, like, that guy kills everywhere he goes. Like, goes to Fairmont, they've been terrible for years, in the national championship game. Goes to Youngstown State, been terrible for years, wins the league. Goes to Utah State, 2 national tournaments, nice at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So that guy, that connection, that relationship and friendship has been super crucial to me. Joe Mazzulla and the time he spent with me and making sure that I did the things that I needed to do to achieve the goals that I wanted to achieve professionally. He held me accountable for those things, and so that's why I'm in the spot. And then Dwayne Osborne I was 22 when I got hired working for him, and turned 23 that year. And I was a young coach, like, trying to figure it out. Thought I knew everything and didn't know anything. And he helped show me that I didn't know anything, and he helped me figure out the things that I sucked at, and he helped me identify the weaknesses that I had. And then he spent genuine and intentional time with me working on those things. And then I got to Pikeville, you end up at Pikeville, and you talked about earlier about me being able to find myself. Like, I learned a lot about myself in those first 4 or 5 years of coaching. I was able to kind of put rubber to road in a sense in terms of getting better as a coach in those 7 years at Pikeville. And if it wasn't for those four guys, and then the opportunity that I had to actually coach at Pikeville, Coach Compton is as impactful for me in my experience and in my career as those other guys are. He allowed me to coach. He gave me the defense and said, "Hey, this is yours. Go do it." And he didn't try to tell me how to do it. He was the head coach, so for something he wanted to do, we did it. But he was great. Like, he let me work through the mistakes, and he let me figure it out. And so I think that when I interview for jobs, people will say, "What's your greatest strength?" And I tell them often, I will figure it out, whatever it is. If I'm on the defense, I'll figure it out. If I've got to figure out how to get an international kid into school and in the country and with a bank account set up, we'll figure it out. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out. And so
I like that response.
I kind of got off on a little tangent there, but
no.
I think
you keep talking, brother.
I think that it does tie in, the relationships that I have with those people. Those guys are figure it out guys. And so, again, I started off on this question, the people that you're with and that you're around those are going to be the people that you act like and that you think like. And so that your relationships and your friendships are what make you as a human being. They're what shape you as a human being.
Yeah. And you broke both parts of professionally and then non-professionally. They work hand in hand, and you can't really live without them. And I wish more people would have an understanding of that. That those are what you have. And I mean, there's some people that they might not have too many of those. But I think that's what makes us successful is those three things. And you are a definition of that right now, of working with that. I had a thought when you were talking, and I meant to bring it up earlier too. I've had a lot of thoughts the last few months. Getting off topic with sports and stuff. 10 years ago, you and I, about this time, probably more towards it should be about this time. Yeah, here in about a month. We were at a Luke Combs concert in freaking Putnam County, West Virginia.
It's facts.
And I'm talking about this and there's going to be, you'll see in a second, but there's probably what, 200-300 people, and there's people up if there's woods back here, there's people up in the freaking trees.
Yeah, there's people
watching Luke Combs. And from that to going to when I went to the Horseshoe for his concert just recently, from 200 to 300 people jumping in trees to 97,000 people in a 2-year span.
Mm-hmm.
Now I bring that up to the point of like you said, Coach Calhoun, he was at Fairmont, and what you might have had again a crowd of what, maybe not even 1,000, 2,000 people possibly.
Depending on the night, we sold that thing out a few times.
Yeah, so let's say the biggest crowds, and now that was Division II in West by God, Fairmont, and you go from that to where he's been just recently to now back home, near home to Cincinnati, which he did. That's where he kind of he didn't get started there, but that's kind of where he got started, right?
Yeah, he did. He played at Cleveland State, and then that's a great story, actually. I'll tell this one.
Go ahead.
Jared was a walk-on at Cleveland State. He's from Cleveland, played at Villa Angela St. Joseph's, a big-time story program in Cleveland, Ohio. Ended up walking on at Cleveland State and wanted to be a college basketball coach. And during his time there, Rollie Massimino was head coach. Rollie was fired. And so that summer, Jared was coaching AAU, I think, for Ohio Basketball Club. And they were at a big AAU tournament. And Bob Huggins took a bunch of AAU coaches out to dinner, and probably 10, 12, 13 dudes, 14 dudes, whatever. And the check came, and all of the other coaches kind of got up and left the table, and the check came as everybody was leaving, and Jared told Hugs, "Hey, I'll split the check with you." And that was kind of how Jared and Hugs' relationship started. And so then the next year, Jared went as last student assistant to Cincinnati. So he got his coaching career started at Cincinnati. So he worked at Cincinnati for Hugs. He graduated, spent some time at Walsh University, was NAIA at the time, now Division II in Ohio, and then became an assistant at the ops guy at West Virginia. So then was West Virginia ops guy, West Virginia assistant, and then Fairmont, and so that's how his whole deal started. So,
Off of
not that that
splitting a
has
bill.
to do with anything, but it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's cool. I like that sad story. Yeah, no, yeah, it's just, but lately I've been not reminiscing, but just, it's crazy what our 10 years has been. Um,
Yeah, it's wild how
and
it changes. Think about Missoula. You know, like me and
yeah,
him were drinking beers on a couch in Glenville, West Virginia, in 2012, and in 2022
that's
he's
what I'm
coaching in the
saying.
NBA. You know, it's wild.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in the last, so we'll break off that in the last 14 years, he went from that to winning NBA to
And
being
I
coach
mean,
of the year this
it's
year.
that's the thing. I think that's one of the cool things about this for me, and like getting this job kind of gave me a little bit of life in that sense. Like not that long ago, Dusty May was the head coach of Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
You know, and now that guy just became the head coach of the Mavericks, and so it can change in literally no time for
And
you.
that's been in what, a 3 year span?
Not even 27 months.
Jesus Christ. That's insane. I mean, yeah, I don't, and and to even go like with the um like uh like you said with Dwayne, and then also shout, you said him earlier, but shout out to Mr. Brett. Haven't seen that man in a while, but great
You're right,
guy, great time.
man.
Yeah. But just like you said Dwayne's back up at Youngstown, like again with his story and everything, and and then you go with the other guys that you've been. There's just, it's just crazy how the life of sports take you that way, and even professionally and non-professionally, with whatever job you have a story. And it's crazy with all the guys you've mentioned, and even yourself now. It's all kind of aligned that you went from here and you all worked your ass off to get to those moments. It's not just these things haven't just been handed to.
Sure.
But when I tell people what they've been handed to you, is because you handed them the relationship, you handed them the connection that you have, and you handed them the friendship and the assurance that, just like what you said earlier, you handed them the first thing you said your strength was, is I'll take care of it. That's my strength. And that's what you've handed these guys, and they trusted you and believed you to what you are
I
now.
think that I've been like I'm the luckiest on the planet. Like I'm from
And
Anstead.
folks, luck does have a lot to
I'm
do
from
with things in
Anstead.
life.
Like there's a ton of college basketball coaches and players coming out of that place, and I got super lucky that somebody thought I was good enough to be on a college basketball team, which I wasn't, and they gave me an opportunity to do it. And so ever since then, like I've just been lucky. And like I told somebody the other day, like I think from I don't remember like middle school, but like just starting high school, like from my ninth grade year in high school basketball until now, I've had one losing season from 2008 until now in 18 years, and that was the year I spent at West Virginia Wesleyan. And that ain't got really anything to do with me. Like that's got everything to do with the places that I've been, the people that I've worked with. Like the people that I've started out doing this with, like if you think about it, like Missoula, head coach of the Celtics, Jared Calhoun, head coach at Cincinnati, Paul Molinari's the chief of staff at Cincinnati, Manny Robinson's at Cincinnati with him now. Then went from
Yeah.
there to Charleston. Dwayne's now at Youngstown State. Guy was a multiple time coach of the year in the Mountain East and won multiple Mountain East Conference championships. Like a big time coach. And then went to Pikeville, worked for Kelly Wells, who was a national champion and now the AD at Morehead State. And then Ty Compton became the head coach and continued what Kelly got started there. And so then I get hired by Mark Prosser. Like, how lucky can a guy get? Like it's so.
And, and,
Um,
and again, it is luck. But again, like I said, I'm gonna fall back again and says it is who you are. And we're gonna we're breaking it down. It's who you are. It's the why that you have. It's your strength that you have, and it's the friendships, the connections, and the relationships you've made
sure.
that leads you to what your spot is now. Um, but yeah, you're all right with that. And and again, we're going to talk about the thing that I feel like you're most proud of, and I am, all the time also. And a funny thing too, folks, we back in the day we used to reference a lot of the Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, and yesterday I don't know if you know or not, if you've kept up, but I'm adopted and I have my other biological family. Well, my uncle on my side, he shared um, a picture of a lady had a tattoo, and it was a Taco Bell thing, and it said, "She took my baby." It was funny, and I told him, I was like, "Wow, I never thought one of my biological family members would have a West Virginia post," and he's like from Florida and stuff. But besides the point, um, for us, it's home, and you take a great deal in that. and you tell people that you just said you're from Anston, West Virginia. You tell people that all the time, and then you have to pull. And if it's like back in the day, you'd probably have one of those maps, and you'd have it circled, and you'd show them exactly where it is.
That's right.
And like, yeah, y'all see that big bridge? Yeah, that's where I'm from.
That's right.
And and we're proud of that. And and it's just like everybody else that's from here. We're proud, and it's not that big of a. It is a big deal to us, and and people always say, well, why do you talk about it? Because we like. It's not that we like to be talked about. It's just we love the people that we have and who we are. And some people don't. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but just share, home, like why you
Yeah.
love home, and and again, I think it has to do with everything we've discussed is home.
Yeah, I think that I'm proud of Fayette County and Anstead and the place that I grew up. I love it. People don't understand what a cool place that it is, and it's the most beautiful place on earth. I tell people I'm from the world's largest adult playground. I love it there. I wish there was Division I college basketball smack dab right there in Fayetteville. I could go right there and coach and live right there at home, and I'd be the happiest man on
Mm,
earth.
yeah, buddy.
But no, when you speak of it in those terms, like it started out for me in Mount Hope at the gym. That was where my love for basketball started, and then playing little league at Midland Trail, and going to summer camp there every year. And like when they just recently redid the gym at Midland Trail, when I saw pictures of it, how cool it was, like that for me, like that started it. Like that started my career, and being in the gym with my dad there, and being in the gym when Coach Flo was there with Jack, and
Yeah,
just everything that's kind of happened in my life happened because of that little place, and it's special to me. People that end up staying there, I think the majority of people that end up staying there long term have like a bad relationship with it. But part of
yeah,
the reason why they never left is because of how nice and how cool it is.
yeah,
There's more to just life than a big city or a great paying job. Like if I ever got out of coaching, I would be totally content living right there and making it, just figuring out a way to make do and do it because it's a great
I
place to live.
fully believe that.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful, and it's you can find um, a sense of just overall peace being in that place.
yeah, yeah. And you know, the thing about it too is, it's always there, and it's always your. I feel like for you, it's always your fresher of the love you have for
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah, I get back there a
And
lot too. That's the other thing. Like
yeah,
I've never lived outside. This is the furthest I've ever lived away from home. I'm about 3.5, 4 hours away now, and if I have the opportunity on the weekend, we ain't got nothing going on in the summer, spring, fall, whatever. Like I pack up and go see mom and dad and go hang out with my friends and go to the river and go ride side by sides and go to the
you
lake and
better.
go to the state fairgrounds, listen to concerts. Like that's it's a place I enjoy
Yeah,
spending
how was the Creekers, buddy? I really
fantastic.
wanted to go to that. Yeah, was that first time you seen him?
Yep. Yep. They just
Yeah,
started to get popular right as I was leaving Pikeville. They're from Leslie County, Kentucky, which is about an hour from Pikeville, hour
yeah,
and a half away. So they were getting popular just as I was dipping out of there, and they played a bunch of shows. Like the weekend that I moved, they played a show
God, that sucks.
near Pikeville. Then the next weekend they played one about 30 minutes away from Pikeville. So I've been missing them, but I got my shot this past weekend. Got to see them. They were good.
Yeah, yeah, they pulled up on my TikTok about probably whenever they were start. They were in that little radio show,
About this
and I
time
mean, just
last year.
that. Yeah, and that voice, dude, man, what a voice! I mean, it's just, I mean, that it puts me to sleep. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
those
that
guys can
beautiful.
sing.
Yeah, and they're talented. It's just not banjos and everything else. They do good stuff. And then I like the Caitlin Butts girl too. She does really well.
Hmm.
The wife listens to her pretty good. Um, but yeah, no, yeah, and again, we'll take it back to everything. All these conversations have purposes, and for people to thinking about doing something, getting up on the ship and doing something. You are a testament about that. About believing in yourself, and you have, and you are who you are, and you've trusted who you are, and and then let others trust you. Um, and I take the end of this. We're gonna kick on out of here. I take the end of this to say, hey, um, I love you, brother. I'm proud of you, constantly proud of you. Ever since you started at Glenville to now, and it's really cool to see the growth of who you are. Even though you haven't changed as a person, you have literally grown so much, and the things that you've done is you know again, you might say you're the luckiest person, but the things you've done is a good ESPN, somewhat maybe 15 for 15, maybe not full for 30 yet, but the things you've done is just awesome, and a lot of people are proud, and I'm and you're like me, you don't eat a lot of humble pie. Some people need to eat some humble pie, so it makes them a lot better. Um, but you deserve those words, and again, I'm proud of you. I love you, and it's just cool where you're at right now. And again, like I was saying earlier, with like where I've been reminiscing things, not really reminiscing, but it's just the only way I can describe it. It's cool what 10, 14 years ago where we were at,
Mhm.
you know,
Appreciate appreciate the kind words, means a lot. I don't necessarily do this to make people proud, but it seems like I get that from time to time, and it's a cool feeling to know that people are watching and they care about what I got going on. And
yeah,
not everybody gets to say that, and I don't take that lightly. That's a cool thing, and I do feel like I'm the luckiest dude on earth when it comes to that kind of thing. I mean, just people don't understand when you grow up there the outlook that most people have on what life looks like.
yeah,
And the other thing, like my parents were are and have been like the most supportive. Like I'll never forget. Like I told them I was leaving playing to go be a student manager, student assistant, whatever at Fairmont. My dad's like, "What are you talking about? Like, why would you do that?" And I just told him like, "It's what I want to do. Like, I want to be a college basketball coach. I think it's the fastest way to get into it." And he's like, "All right, well, if that's what you want to do." Same thing. Like, I went to Charleston as a part-time assistant, making no money, but like I had to do it, and they supported me, and they made sure I had gas money, and made sure I had $20 for lunch every day, and took care of me in that regard. Then full time for a year at Wesleyan, and the majority of people that know me know this. Like I ended up getting fired at Western Wesleyan, and I had to go back and take a GA job at 25 years old and get a master's degree, and it was the only job that I could get at the time. And so I go back, and I'm making $300-400 every 2 weeks, and I'm getting room and
hmm
board and tuition paid for and whatever else, and I'm working however many hours a week coaching, just like I'm doing right this very second. And they just stuck right in there with me and helped support me and helped me get through whatever it was I had going on at that time. And thankfully, after my time as a GA, I was able to get on full time there and uh, not need the support necessarily from them financially. But and if I'm being honest with you, like it ain't like they had bukus and bukus to give me either. They were figuring out at the same pace, I guess,
they're
that I
making.
was. They were trying to figure out how to
Yep,
help me make it work, and so um, you know,
that's what love does,
they
brother.
had a little
That's what love
different.
does.
They had a little different view of what life looked like for an adult. They showed me, and this is again, I can talk about this kind of stuff all day, but like, when I was a kid, my parents had a business called the Home Place, and my mom made like dry coffee and pie and tea and soups and all these other things. We would go to these shows and sell them. You just add water or sugar and milk or whatever, and you make it. All the ingredients are there. You just pour it in and add whatever else. The
Mhm.
water, whatever, make it. My dad would do woodwork. He'd build birdhouses and mirrors and shelves and you name it. He would build, and we would go to all these different places. And so, like when I was 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, until I was 11 or 12 years old, like I got to travel all over the place. And a lot of people where we're from, they're just there. They get to go on vacation at Myrtle Beach once a year, and that's the only time that they really get out of that place. And not that that's a bad thing. Again, I love it there. I would love to live there, and I understand why nobody would ever want to leave. I get it. But I was exposed at an early age to other places and other areas, and that kind of showed me that, like, you can go be the assistant coach at Winthrop. You can go be the head coach at West Virginia one day if you want to. You got to
Yeah.
figure out the path to it and try to put yourself in the best position over and over and over. And luckily for me, I've got with people who've not given me another choice, and they've kind of just made me do that over and over and over. So again, another kind of long-winded tangent there, but I felt like that's an important thing for people to hear. Like, it doesn't matter where you're from, what your circumstances are necessarily. You just need one person to
Yeah.
to help you and show you that there's a different way of doing it. And you see that in coaching. Like, you get guys from, we've got a guy from Egypt, we've got a guy from the country of Georgia, we've got a guy from Canada, we have a guy from Poland, we've got players from Indianapolis and Houston and just all over the country. And all these guys come from all these different places, and they're all here because of that round ball. And all of us coaches are here because of that round ball, and we all come from different places. And so it's just such a unique and cool thing, because traditionally speaking, where we're from, those people don't get the opportunities because of the ball, right? They get the
No.
opportunities because of education or because of their work ethic or whatever it is.
Yep.
And so I hope that through the camps and the different stuff I've tried to do at home, people see that you can go do it if you want to do it, and it's not an unfamiliar thing. Like, it's just coaching college hoops and college sports is an industry, and you can go work in
Yep.
it just like you can in the coal fields or on the power lines or in oil and gas. Like, it's just another industry, and if it's what you want to do, you can.
Yep.
You just need to try to put yourself in the right position over and over and over and over and over again.
I'll end it on this. I love what you said. I mean, my allergies are kicking in with the tears, so it's not just causing tears on that. But um, all that does and everything with sports creates a passion of what we want to do in our next life, and it can be, and that's what sports does, or whatever, or whatever as a young kid we love to do. And we take that passion and we put it into what we want to do as 19, 20 year olds and as in 20, 25 year olds. It has it always will have a reason with that. And you said it right down to the pat. Um, that is what you are doing, is because at that young age when your parents had the ambition of a work ethic with the extra stuff they did and the little business that she ran, and they implement it to you, and it just, I wish more people would understand that they that what they see is what you're going to get out in life. Like, you're not just, like, let's just say for instance, like, we had if you're in a situation, our parents were bad and they were this and that, and we have a lot of that issue back here at home, and you know that, and it's the total opposite. We don't do what they don't want. We don't want to do the bad stuff the parents are doing. So we're always going to mimic what our parents do. And I wish young people would understand that more too. Is, we're here for the right reasons, and you are an hour. And I think I took that way too far than what I thought I was going to. But yeah,
You're good,
I
buddy.
don't know. There's some personal things with that right now that I probably took that with. So, but we're gonna end it. I love you, man. Again, appreciate you having on, and good luck with the camps. If I do need to get on eBay and look up for a Richard Hamilton mask to send you,
I'm not
I'll
gonna
do
get
that.
any more drills for a while now. That I just told them, like, y'all gonna have to leave me be over here and let me just sit over and coach and not get up.
It'd be kind of funny if whoever does like your social media, if they put like a report out or whatever, how you have to put the injury report. If it was like regular season, that would have been
Well,
hilarious.
don't
If
think for one second these guys around here ain't giving me a hard time about it.
I fully believe it. Fully believe it. All right, guys, this is the Coach Mike and Friends podcast. Appreciate Sid having on. Y'all have a good rest of your week, and have a good Friday. Peace. So let's do a little recap of we just had an interview with Mr. City. Hey, again, thanks for having him on. I really appreciate him having be on with me. But it's really cool. I have reflected a lot. I kind of talked about that in the podcast about, what's happened in the last 10, 15, some years with us. And, I don't know how many people, I guess I feel like in a more of technology realm of things, like how we, as, I'm 31, he's 32, 33, about to be. And, we really try to reflect on, where have we been? What are we doing now? I think we all should be, proud of ourselves in that aspect, and really sit back and, kind of take it by the hand and be like, man, just 10 years ago, I was in this position, and now look where I'm at. And I feel the same way professionally, and I feel the same way, personally, what I'm doing. Again, we're never going to be happy what we are doing because we always think we can do better. We always can think that. And I think Sid's got the same mentality with that and continues to do that. But at the end of the day, and that's really why I wanted him on. At the end of the day, he continues to be himself. Like he will always be himself. And I can't be any more proud of him for that. He took a chance on himself. By just being himself. And he realized that that's all he's got to do. And I think us in the world, if you're watching this, just realize that. Sometimes all it's going to take is just being yourself. That's all. Don't try to do better of trying to make people pleaser. Don't try to be a yes man as much as you can. Be prepared to say no. But be you. Be what you think you need to be. Continue to be you. I can go on and on. But I thought I'd get a little recap and shout out to our favorite people, me and Sid's, of the Tudor Biscuit Worlds in Southern West by God. Love them all. Mama, and Mama Tabit. Shout out to both of you. But thanks for listening. Appreciate y'all. It's been a wonderful week personally. Yeah, big. And it's just life is life. Try to help people and sometimes you just can't. And sometimes you got to do the little to them. But hey, next week, might have a new person on. Could have a new person on. Maybe somebody the same person. Who knows? So, Mike loves you. Coach Mike loves you. Have a great weekend. I'm going to go see Shrek the Musical tomorrow at Theater West by God, Virginia. Peace! Also, shout out to Joey Lilly. Happy birthday, buddy. Love you. Bye-bye.